Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, according to a report, Avonte Maddox may be out for the year because of a serious injury. Also, plenty of takeaways after a dominant win for Philadelphia at home over the Minnesota Vikings. Before we get started, just want to say thank you to all of the real ones out there. Most views for a watch party in channel history last night with an astounding 127,000 people tuning in. We picked up 1,000 new subscribers, so again, thank you to the real ones. And we'll be going live to react to this game and to look forward. Long week ahead for Philadelphia. Next game on Monday Night Football against the Buccaneers. So subscribe, turn on those notifications, and we'll see you this Friday afternoon. But first, let's recap that Eagles dub and some injury news for the Birds. It's a Victory Friday, and it's all presented by True Classic. You can get 25% off using the promo code CHAT at trueclassic.com/chat. I'm wearing one of their polos right now, looking fresh like the Eagles were last night. You can see for yourself. We'll tell you more about them here in just a bit. So according to John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, he reports this, that sources tell him there is worry that cornerback Avonte Maddox tore his pec muscle last night. He was getting an MRI this morning, and last night during our watch party, myself, producer Chip, right when that injury happened, we saw Maddox on the grass at the link, and we said, please get up. Please get up. He went to the sideline and was really grabbing that shoulder area, and it looks as though this could be a pec injury. And if it is indeed true, and the MRI reveals the severity of this injury to be that torn pectoral, that's not good. That would most likely mean that Avonte Maddox is out for the remainder of the 2023 season. And this is really tough to sustain for Philadelphia. Since Nick Sirianni got hired in 2020, they have been top 5 in injury rate the last 2 years, or I should say 2021 and 2022 after the 2020 season. Remember, Doug Peterson was the head coach. This is an Eagles team that was injured all the time. Problem with the previous medical staff, but Sirianni, he's been able to get it right. And now this is difficult to sustain because the Eagles are suffering injuries at the second and third level of their defense, Maddox included in that. And why this loss would hurt this Eagles defense. He's a very good slot cornerback. That's why the Eagles gave him that contract extension a couple of years ago. Pro Football Focus grades, very solid. Very good complementary player to Darius Slay and James Bradberry. Has a knack for making big plays, whether it be interceptions or last night punching the football away from Alexander Mattison, who fantasy football lovers hate this morning. The Eagles are already thin at linebacker, right? That's that second level. Maddox playing in the slot, that hurts you at that second level and the third level of your defense. The Eagles already are not deep at that safety spot after Reed Blankenship was injured and the lack of depth there. And your defensive depth for Philadelphia getting tested just 2 games into the season. And you look at the Eagles cornerback depth chart. Who's going to step up for Maddox if he is out? James Bradberry is more than capable of playing in the slot, but you want him on that outside because he's a very good outside cornerback. Darius Slay, still one of the best in the game. That's why they call him Big Play Slay. If Maddox is missing and he's out for the remainder of the 2023 campaign, you're looking at Mario Goodrich to step in, who got a lot of snaps last night, missed the tackle on TJ Hawkinson, which led to the touchdown. But as the game wore on, I thought he made some improvements. You can put Josh Jobe there, who was also getting a lot of snaps last night without Bradberry, and maybe you'll see a little bit more from Eli Ricks and Kelee Ringo. How you can survive here for Philadelphia: Josh Jobe, Mario Goodrich, certainly capable backups. Kelee Ringo, Eli Ricks, maybe they start to get some more playing time. And for Ricks, elevated to the active game day roster consistently now as we project forward. When the Eagles' initial 53 was out, we said, this is a very good Eagles secondary at cornerback. Top-tier players, but also really quality young backups. That youth going to be put to the test here. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to be concerned about the Eagles cornerback play and the overall secondary play. I know a lot of you have been chirping at me. Chase, this Eagles defense sucks. They gave up 346 passing yards and 4 touchdowns to Kirk Cousins. They stink. Not true. The game dictated Minnesota having to throw the football because they were down. They got dominated in time of possession. Eagles dominated that category at 39 minutes of the 60 minutes of that ball game. They had to throw to catch up, and Philadelphia was playing a lot of prevent defense. So it's a Victory Friday here on Eagles Now. We're only getting started on this show as well as our live show later this afternoon. Go Birds. You pumped up about this win? If that's the case, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video right now. Coming up next here on the show, what a homecoming for the Philly native DeVonta Smith, and plenty of more observations after the manhandling of Minnesota. Skull, skull, skull? Nah, Foles, Foles, Foles. As I mentioned off the top of the show, Philadelphia Eagles Now is sponsored by True Classic. I'm wearing one of their polos here, as I mentioned, and you can spicing up your wardrobe with True Classic just like me if you use the promo code CHAT, and in the process, you save yourself about 25% off. Just want to take a minute to tell you about these polos that I'm wearing from True Classic. It's my go-to destination for shirts like this. T-shirts are very soft and comfortable, but they also have shorts, jeans, and other closet essentials. I love how their shirts kind of fit and feel, tight in the chest, loose around the waist. That's always good after a watch party in which I'm shotgunning a bunch of brews. But seriously, whatever you choose, you can't go wrong with True Classic. All their clothing, from t-shirts, shorts, button-ups, it's designed to be versatile and work with your lifestyle so that you can look and feel your best all damn day. In fact, True Classic is so committed to their products, they have even given you a 100% risk-free guarantee and an easy return process. So one more time, it's promo code CHAT. Promo code CHAT at trueclassic.com/chat. We'll put that link for you in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. Really appreciate them for being our sponsor for today's show. So I want to go back to the point of the Philadelphia Eagles manhandling Minnesota on Thursday Night Football. What did I tell you going into this football game? Biggest matchups for me, the line play, especially the Eagles' defensive line against the Vikings' offensive line. But we saw last night that Eagles' offensive line, which was number one in the NFL last year as far as talent and production, struggled against the Patriots. You start running the ball, and they ran it down the Vikings' throats. They overpowered them with their trench play on both sides of the line of scrimmage. In particular, for the Eagles' offensive line, what a dominant showing. They took the will out of the Vikings last night at the Lincoln South Philadelphia for everybody to see. 48 carries for this Eagles offense. 259 rushing yards. Average yards per carry, 5.5. They ran for 3. 2 on the Jalen Hurts quarterback sneak, another to DeVonta Smith, in which he shook Harrison Smith out of his shoes like AI used to do at the First Union Center, now the Wells Fargo Center in South Philadelphia. A long run of 43 for DeVonta Smith. And speaking of number 0, he was sensational last night for this Eagles offense. And that's another big point of emphasis that I talked about all week in the lead up to this game. Last night on Thursday Night Football, everybody saw the ability that DeVonta Smith has. What a homecoming for him. And the special ability that he possesses as a running back pops, unlike Kenneth Gainwell, and that's not a shot on Gainwell. Swift was a second-round pick for a reason. He has this combination of power, balance, speed, elusiveness, cutback ability that even LaShawn McCoy acknowledged on Twitter, and he's a home run threat. And now he adds a completely different element to this Eagles offense with him being in that backfield with Jalen Hurts. On the night, 28 carries, a career-high 175 yards, average yards per tote for Swift, 6.3, as he was moving swiftly through that Vikings defense, and a touchdown. You saw the Eagles' offensive line finally catch a rhythm, and this offensive line loves getting downhill. They want to be in an advantageous position in which they can physically dominate you. Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson has literally talked about this many times before under this Jeff Stoutland regime. When we can get out on those pull blocks and we can get to that second, third level, and we're starting to block linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, in which we know we own that matchup, this Eagles offensive line is like a snowball going downhill. It's like an avalanche toward the opponent, and you cannot stop it because they overpowered Minnesota last night. And what did that do in turn? It opened up the pass game downfield for Jalen Hurts. You establish the run, and beautiful things can happen because you come up in the box to try to defend that. What does Hurts do? Hits a long ball to DeVonta Smith. Again, you look at these numbers for this Philadelphia rushing offense. 48 carries and 259 yards as compared to the Eagles' defensive line just dominating Minnesota's offensive line. 9 carries for 28 yards. That's why Kirk Cousins had to throw the football so much last night. And have the Philadelphia Eagles found their identity? Think about that for a moment. Have the Philadelphia Eagles found their identity? They're 2-0 to start the season. They haven't played their best football, but what have they done in both games? They've really taken over the game and the complexion of it at the offensive line of scrimmage and the defensive line of scrimmage. And the run and DeAndre Swift going off last night finally allowed Jalen Hurts to be comfortable. And we saw that with a couple of explosive plays to DeVonta Smith, who had a great night. 5 targets, 4 catches, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, long of 63. It was a hell of a throw by Jalen Hurts on that touchdown, who Hurts finished 18 of 23, a $193, average yards per completion at 8.4, a touchdown and a pick. The pick was bad. The touchdown throw to Smitty to help kind of break this game open a little bit was a great throw. He knew that he had DeVonta Smith on the outside as his weapon, an opportunity for Smitty to win that matchup. Hurts stood in the pocket strong, and he waited until the last possible moment for Smith to break free downfield. And with Jordan Hicks getting sent home from middle linebacker on that blitz, free runner at Hurts, took a shot to the chest. Arm motion got shortened, but he displayed the arm strength there with his ability to uncork that throw as well. And the pick was bad, yes, but average yards per completion, very, very solid. And we're still waiting for this Eagles offense to fully come together. So with that, we segue to a big talking point in the city of brotherly love. Is Brian Johnson a problem? New Eagles offensive coordinator who took over for Shane Steichen. Keep in mind Shane Steichen's track record. He allowed Justin Herbert and coached up Justin Herbert as the OC with the Chargers, where Herbert had a record-breaking rookie season. We've seen the development under Jalen Hurts and the play calling, the explosive plays that Steichen was able to help come to fruition in calling the plays for Philadelphia. Brian Johnson is a different guy. Sees the game in a different way. It's still the same system, but he's trying to feel out what works for this particular 2023 team. And against New England, tried to throw it a little bit too much. Didn't include DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert. But what you can give Brian Johnson credit toward is him making the adjustment of running after trying to start that game throwing. He realized, let's get downhill, let's run the football. They can't stop it, let's keep pounding the rock. Implementing DeAndre Swift more so into the game plan, even Dallas Goedert as well. So it's a little bit too early to say that Brian Johnson sucks like some of you were saying last night. Some solid results in certain areas for Philadelphia, but like I said, they can improve, they can get better. But shoot, you combine the Eagles' defensive attack and their ability, their swagger level, and their potential with the glimpses that we're seeing for this Eagles offense and the multifaceted approach they might have, running it, throwing it. If that comes together, beautiful synergy, and the orchestra can get playing in Philly. Another key for me, Eagles defensive line against the Vikings offensive line. I talked about this here on the show. I talked about this with Patrick Seatman, host of Vikings Now. We both know ball, right? We both said the game could come down to this. And a reason for that, especially the interior Eagles defensive line against the Vikings interior offensive line, if you pressure the pocket and you get in Kirk Cousins' vision and sight line right through the middle of that line of scrimmage, he's going to see bodies right here that clutters and clouds the field. He starts to panic and he turns into primetime Kirk. You do that and you stop the run, and then the Vikings are down because of injuries to their third left tackle. You start to get that edge coming, and that Vikings offense had absolutely no answers at critical junctures of that football game, and you saw the Eagles' defensive line. They really did, and I said this word a couple of times, just overpower Minnesota at the line of scrimmage. That's big boy bully ball football, and why I like this identity for Philadelphia. If they need to win in a shootout, they can. If they need to win a low-scoring game, they're capable. You want to muddy it up? Eagles can do that too. 10 quarterback hits last night on Kirk, 2 sacks, 4 turnovers forced, in the first 31 minutes of game action. And then Philadelphia, time of possession against Minnesota, 39 minutes of the 60 minutes of gameplay. Let's also talk about this. For everybody out there who wants to complain about the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback sneak rugby scrum formation, here's my response to you. Stop complaining. And if you want the Eagles to stop doing it, stop it. If it was so easy to conduct offensively, why aren't other teams doing it across the National Football League? Answer that question for me. Why is that? Because not every team has a quarterback who can squat 500, 600 pounds, and contrary to belief, this is a play that requires offensive line skill. And it's beautiful in a way because of that, because you combine that with the physicality and the Eagles' ability to overpower you at the line of scrimmage. That's how they've built this football team, along the offensive line and defensive line. And the skill that I talk about for the Eagles O-line, timing of the snap count, having to get good leverage. Sometimes out of this formation here, you have pull blockers to go a different direction depending on the look from the defense. The Eagles here will take your will with this play. Isn't that what football's all about? Football is about skill. It's also about strength and physicality. That's why you hit the weight room. And this play does take some skill. Look at all these Vikings players here, and they still can't stop it. I'll tell you what, if the Philadelphia Eagles try to perform this play against the San Francisco 49ers, which I believe Eagles, Niners, top two teams in the NFC, you know what Fred Warner's doing right here? Jumping over that pile to try to grab Jalen Hurts around the neck. Not all teams have a quarterback who has strength like this. How many times have we seen Kirk Cousins get stuffed on a quarterback sneak? How many times do we see Tom Brady do this play that was celebrated for years and years and years? This comes down to schematics. This comes down to discipline. This comes down to skill and coaching, and that's what football is all about. Also, a lot of people talking about this A.J. Brown drama here. I'm not worried about it. A.J. Brown is a competitor. He has a great relationship with Jalen Hurts. DeVonta Smith even said, there's nothing to worry about. That guy's a dog. Those are the types of players that you want. A.J. Brown is frustrated. This Eagles offense should be frustrated. Brian Johnson should be frustrated at the lack of offensive continuity, synergy, and production right now. We're looking at a guy who's a top 5 wide receiver in the game here, and he's barely been able to get going so far because Brian Flores and Bill Belichick have flustered and frustrated this Eagles offense. He's going to get going. This isn't a big deal. Nick Sirianni said we're going to keep those conversations private. I frankly am not going to make a big matter of it. If you're still watching, I want you to give me a real one down below. I believe that our analysis, our opinions, our unique spin on things, our creativity, our graphics packages, everything here provide you with some special content here on the YouTube streets. So we appreciate you for rocking. And if that's the case, give me a real one. Another reminder. Thank you so much for supporting the show. 127,000 views against the Vikings for our watch party, 1,000 new subscribers, and join us on Friday afternoon. Eagles Now Live.